Today we're going to be taking a look at Smile 2, the very highly anticipated horror sequel, and that is already a complete lie because it was not anticipated at all. No one really asked for it, but what did we think of it? Well, let's get into it. So, Smile 1 for me was just a god-awful generic studio horror film. It was just devoid of tension or real scares. It was just bang, rah, that kind of nonsense. It was just simultaneously one of my least favourite horror films in the last few years. So initially I had absolutely zero interest in Smile 2, just zilch completely. And then I heard actually from a few friends of mine, that it wasn't as bad as the first, so I thought, you know what, take myself to a $5 screening and go and have a little look at it. And ultimately, I had quite a good time. I mean, sure, look, in the grand scheme of 2024 horror, it doesn't even come close in the slightest to some of the top films of the year, such as The Substance or Late Night with the Devil, but conversely, at the same time, it is no Night Swim level of bad either. And at least for once, the studio took some of the key criticisms of the first film and actually managed to improve on them for the sequel and develop it, which I'll at least give them a little bit of credit for that in itself. Now, it isn't imperative to rewatch the first Smile before venturing into the sequel. I mean, even I have a friend remind us that, the beginning of this film ties directly into the ending of the last film. But honestly, I couldn't even remember the ending of very little of the first one at all. I mean, I just found it so dull and lifeless that there was nothing memorable about it. Just a few, moments scattered throughout. But Smile 2 actually focuses on a brand new character, pop sensation Sky Riley, who witnesses the death of a drug dealer type friend. He has a cheeky grin that follows him, and then if you've seen the trailer or the film itself, you will know he has something of a smashing time. Yet this is no overdose, but still a prime example why you shouldn't be hanging around cracked ends. Not good for you. So as Sky begins to have further visions, our world begins to kind of collapse, not just for herself, but also for the people around her. Ooh, really ambiguous, I know, but the film actually has a pretty hefty story when you fully examine it, and there is a lot going on in my eyes for this one, but I'm going to say no more on this for now because I do want to keep this spoiler free. Now, Naomi Scott is excellent in the lead role, and I would personally say that Sky Riley definitely beats out Lady Raven from Trap as the on-screen pop sensation of the year, because this one's not just full of nepotism. Well, in some ways the film kind of is, but we'll get that in a bit because that's a positive aspect of it. And as a film with a focus on a pop star, Smile 2 definitely comes out on top of that, but that can also be attributed to the whole film not just being a bunch of daft shit mangled together either. So whilst most of the cast are just fine, remember when I mentioned the nepotism before? Well, this is a good thing here, because the standout side character is undoubtedly Ray Nicholson as Paul, who's Sky's ex, who has unfortunately bit the dust. Now, of course, let's look at this a little bit. I mean, it's a relatively small role for the most part, but it is a lasting one. Now, picture this. What's the best course of action in this situation? You need someone not just necessarily to even act, but just to pull off the best Jack Nicholson smile for the entire role. That's all you need to do. So what do you do when Jack Nicholson has retired and is no longer in the acting world, but you need this? I mean, you might as well hire his own literal flesh, blood and DNA to do the job. I mean, I'm not huge on the whole nepotism thing, as I said, but this little Nicky really honours his father in all the best ways. I mean, watching this, part of my mind was going, Batman Beyond with Keaton fighting DeVito as Penguin and Ray Nicholson as Joker's son? Yes, please. But overall, with the characters, that actually feels like there's some development this time around, which is something that can't be said about the first. At least they are memorable. So it's shot decently, and once again uses some of the upside down flip shots, which I do very much like, because it really kind of draws you into the mentally inebriated world of the pop singer with, some concert and music video style footage as well, but just all around has some decent cinematography. And, it does look quite nice for a studio horror, especially when most that come out of this genre now, like big budget horror, usually just looks like a turd dipped in diarrhea, So we might as well embrace this. But of course, being a studio horror, they've got to go hard on the product placement, and there's one very oddly specific item which is unbelievably prevalent throughout, and I don't know how many other people notice this, but you know how David Fincher said that there's a Starbucks cup in every single scene of Fight Club? Well, there's a drink in this film which is far less subtle to find. And I say it's far less subtle because it is in your goddamn face the entire movie, and that is Voss water. Literally every time Skye has a drink, we see her perfectly unscrew the lid of the glass water bottles and drink. Seriously, it's like always there. There's even a scene like in a hospital where there's like a whole mini fridge stocked to the brim of Voss water, and Skye says to someone on the side, "Oh, I want a soda," but then the first, like before getting her that, someone reminds her that she's got a fridge full of this water, and it's like, I just wish the studios weren't so intent on these massive marketing ploys that just have to push a product into your face. But as I always say, big are the fools who buy into it and end up purchasing the product. Light, refreshing, remarkably bland in taste, just like the ideal bottle of water should. Anyway, okay, so to wrap things up a little bit, if you didn't like Smile 1, still give this a go. You might be somewhat pleasantly surprised like me. If you loved Smile 1, not sure why you would, but you might love this even more. Or I might just completely be wrong and you might hate both of them, but I don't care. I haven't wasted that money if you hate them both. So to end this all off, we might as well have a little bit of a smile ourselves. So let's see how good we here can replicate a smile for this film. Okay, now that didn't work. I was hoping I could... Can I do it? There we go. Okay, now I made an even bigger fool of myself than I expected to do. I'm going to go and wash the sauce off my hands. So, I don't know, just go watch a film for yourself, decide for yourself, and we'll see you in the next one.